Dubbed the Final Fantasy Killer by many publications before its release, Legend of Dragoon would be written off by the press as generic fodder once it hit store shelves, garnering average reviews despite selling rather well. It's a shame, in a way, because despite its fairly obvious inspirations and lackluster story, Dragoon becomes more of its own beast once you make it deeper into the game. As a result, it perhaps isn't a great starting point for those unfamiliar with the genre, but anyone who craves a lengthy and gorgeous looking JRPG outside of the Final Fantasy sphere will want to check this out. Just don't expect it to blow your mind. An epic tale spanning 4 discs, Legend of Dragoon follows the exploits of Dart, a spiky-haired hero whose former home is destroyed by a mysterious black monster, killing both his parents. Returning to his adopted home, he finds Celeste too has been set ablaze, though this time by a rebel faction in a civil war. His childhood friend, Shana, is also kidnapped. Dart sets out to rescue her, but the plot expands considerably from here on out. Dart picks up a slew of followers along the way, including a royal knight, a fighting master, and a creature from a race of legend. The problem with Dragoon is that its story struggles to find its feet, with a sluggish first disc requiring dedication to finish. The roster of characters varies wildly, with Dart and Shana coming off as a bit benign, but it builds surprisingly well with some excellent twists during the latter half. Legend of Dragoon will look, play, and feel very familiar to those who have experienced any JRPG, particularly the PlayStation era Final Fantasy games. Players will journey across a large world of Endiness, with a world map separating bigger locales. With a mix of storytelling, random encounters, and bigger, scripted boss fights, it's a rollercoaster ride of slower paced exploration and fighting. Eventually, Dart gains access to a flying creature, allowing you to revisit previous areas, and you can travel between locales on foot. The world map, while large, is aesthetically unappealing, looking basic and barren. But individual locales are always detailed, featuring side paths with chests and even side missions, such as pursuing a rabid wolf that hurt a villager. The only oddity is the limited item inventory, which prevents you from holding more than 32 items at a time, including healing and revival. Considering magic items also take up spots, it can be cumbersome to juggle. Unfortunately for Legend of Dragoon, comparisons with Square's Juggernaut JRPG series were inevitable, but of particular note is the several direct comparisons to Final Fantasy VII. A quiet hero who appears grumpy but has a complicated past. A silver-haired antagonist who forms some sort of rivalry with the main protagonist. A childhood friend who may or may not be romantically involved with the main guy. Even the way Dragoon is presented is eerily similar, with super deformed versions of characters being used outside of combat, then hyper-detailed avatars taking their place during fights. But if you're going to borrow liberally from a JRPG, you could do a hell of a lot worse than arguably the greatest one of all.
Double slash!
But where Legend of Dragoon really distinguishes itself is in its combat, arguably the strongest aspect of the game. While taking place in a traditional turn-based manner, Sony would opt for a focus on timing and action. Each character's main attack is known as an addition, and when performing said moves, a prompt will appear on screen for you to press X. Missing this will still deal damage, but hitting successive presses will reward you with extra damage. As you use additions, these level up, allowing you to perform tougher chains with bigger damage. Dragoons, somewhat similar to summons, also require timing. As characters acquire gems to utilise this power, you can summon them to perform powerful strikes or charged magic attacks. They prove a powerful tool, but also a risky one, as you cannot use healing items during the summons. The focus on timing and more action-based combat gives Dragoon a unique hook, and while getting the timing right is tricky initially, it's satisfying to nail. Sony would not skimp on the presentation, making LOD one of the best looking PlayStation games ever. The pre-rendered backgrounds are high quality, and the 3D is no slouch either, despite opting for super deformed avatars during exploration. Combat looks stunning too, with excellent animation and some jaw-dropping specials which fill the screen. Bosses are epic, often filling the screen and featuring high detail. Impressively, the devs often utilise in-engine cutscenes, something which shows off the fully detailed characters well. It sprinkles gorgeous FMVs here and there, rivaled only by Ridge Racer Type 4s in terms of quality. The sound isn't quite as consistent, but does feature a memorable soundtrack with a slew of decent tracks. The translation is spotty though, with a number of typos, while the FMVs feature some of the lamest voice acting you'll ever hear. Luckily, the majority of the game forgoes voicing.
And use them as slaves. The enslaved suffered a terrible domination and injustice.
It's a beefy game, rivaling Final Fantasy VIII in length. You can expect to spend at least 80 hours finishing the main story, though with plenty of tough bosses, some of it is due to grinding. Outside of that, there's a handful of memorable side quests, including the aforementioned wolf hunt, putting several Dragoon spirits to rest, and seeking out a legendary armour. The only thing is, this is one JRPG which isn't hugely replayable. After all, it takes a good 20 hours and the entire first disc to really kick into gear, meaning it's not something you can easily jump back into. But if you set aside the time and stick with the experience, it's worth a lengthy punt. Legend of Dragoon is an odd one, as its inspirations are very clear. You can understand why reviewers at the time would write this one off, with a plodding first disc, an uneven character roster, leaving its early stages feeling unremarkable. But if you stick with it, master the timing of combat, and lose yourself in the stunning visuals, it's an experience that ultimately bears fruit. While to put this up there with the genre's best would be an exaggeration, it's still a very competent and enjoyable JRPG that will please genre aficionados no end. A high barrier of entry and some genuine flaws mean it isn't the ideal entry point for newcomers to the genre, but if you've exhausted the more heralded role-playing games on the system, Dragoon may be your next big adventure.
Yes! Go! Volcano!